Welcome, everybody, to the Alexander Brandon AMA. Thanks for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause for attending MAGFest and surviving. Everybody having a good time? Oh, that didn't quite sound like everybody's having the best time. Y'all having a good time? Yes, yes. Good to see you. Well, yes, that says it all, right? Well, hopefully. So yeah, let's do a little bit of background and set the stage in terms of just how this framework is going to be. This is an AMA. This isn't just me doing what I did yesterday, spieling about the ins and outs of game audio and all of these, relationship things with teams and the stuff that you don't normally hear or see just plastered out on YouTube. This is going to be people essentially asking me questions, and I think you can come up to the mic for that. And form a line, and I think that's how that can work. And the AMA is anything now. But what's our context for that? Well, first of all, you should know a little bit about my background if you're not familiar with as much of it or whatever. I started working with Epic Mega Games back in 1994, doing a bonus track for Jazz Jackrabbit 1. I did a good amount of the score of Jazz Jackrabbit 2, Unreal Tournament, and then after that, Deus Ex. After that, Gauntlet 7 Sorrows for Midway, and a whole bunch of projects in between. But more lately, the stuff that I guess I'm more known for is VO for Skyrim, DC Universe Online, audio director for Wasteland 2, Wasteland 3, Torment, Tides of Numenera, and just now I'm working with Stormgate, on the game Stormgate with Frost Giant Studios, with the team. Thank you. The teams from StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3, the good people that were at Blizzard working on those. We're doing a new RTS. So go check that out on Steam. It is in various stages of beta. I'm not sure exactly which stage we're at right now. I just know there's milestone after milestone, and we need to put a lot of cool stuff in that game. But go check it out. It has lots of new cool stuff as well as a lot of the old feel and all the lessons learned from all the RTS stuff that are in these great minds on the team. So check that out. Also, the shirt that I am wearing here is Have You Seen Bloop? And Bloop Museum, if you're not familiar with that, is in Maryland, and I'm not sure exactly what place it's close, Hunt Valley, Towson, something like that. Brendan's going to kill me. But here, let me do this. I'm going to get where you can actually see the QR code. And if you can manage to get a shot of the QR code and go and check it out, I highly recommend taking a look. It's a museum of old everythings in terms of technology. PCs, arcade machines, consoles. I donated a twin Famicom with some original Nintendo cartridges for that, like Castlevania. So I don't know if that's playable, but there are playable things, and there's just so much awesome old school stuff. So yes, Brendan Becker was the first person to invite me to MAGFest way back in the day. So owe him big on that. He's done an amazing job helping build MAGFest. And so now he's got Bloop Museum. So check out Bloop. Finally, yes, let's give Brendan a warm round of applause. So the framework of this in terms of AMA is you can ask weird, goofy questions. You can ask personal questions. Some of them I may be like, I think we'll pass on that one. But I want people to feel as though it's just like, yeah, what's inside game composers' minds, or what is it like in daily life? What sort of challenges did you have growing up? What was your social dysfunctions? I've got plenty of those. As I think I'm in the right space for people that that are finding themselves and trying to figure out how we interact with the world. Right? MAGFest is a wonderful place to be able to have an identity that might not necessarily exist in people's day jobs and school and all of those other things where we just sort of got to walk around like this and be whatever it is the culture tells us to be, right? So yes, this is a place of freedom, but also a place where we like to establish the ability to say things that we might not normally say, but also be able to say, oh, that's a line that I'm not really comfortable crossing, right? And it's okay, it's totally fine. And in fact, coming in now are members of the consent panel from yesterday, and I want everybody to clap for them because that's a really big deal. This is something that I've been interested in, and I don't want to spiel for too long because I want people to do the questions. This is something that I've been interested in, particularly with Bonnie Bogovich doing a gender relations panel a couple years ago, but I wasn't part of that. I don't know if anybody was at the Mages thing for that. But it is getting into those topics that are not normally discussed in any kind of setting, let alone online. And so a lot of stuff was established yesterday. And so thank you so much for everything, consent panel members. So with that established, I think, yeah, like I said, there may be things that I go, and I might not be able to answer that, but you stumped me or whatever. But otherwise, if you've got crazy questions about game audio, if you've got crazy questions, if you want impersonations, like I said, Morgan Freeman is certainly a possibility. I can talk to you all day like Morgan Freeman, but that might get boring after a little while. Now, I might not be able to impersonate everybody. We got somebody with their hand raised. Why don't you, if you want to ask something, come up to the mic. Put yourself on center stage there. We might as well start this party. Oh, we have to hit the switch. There you go.
There we go. What was your first major video game? Not even any relation to audio, just your first game you really liked.
The first game I really, that's a good question. See, I like this. There's going to be a little bit of like, oh my gosh, that's a long time ago. Asteroids Deluxe was the very first video. Yes, please laugh, clap, any combination of all of that. Asteroids Deluxe was at a arcade called the Emporium in Annapolis, Maryland. And it's certainly long gone by now. But they had Asteroids, they had Tempest, I believe Missile Command, or maybe that was at the Pizza Parlor. I can't remember. But yes, Asteroids Deluxe, I was obsessed with that. I took bicentennial quarters out of a safe place that my dad had them stored in a little chess set, which was not what I was supposed to do. But I was like, hey, it's quarters. I can play Asteroids with these. I'm just going to steal them. But yeah. So Asteroids Deluxe, that's the answer to that one. Chris!
Yes.
What's up?
Curious as to the story of switching from tracking for fun to composing professionally.
Okay, first I'm going to embarrass you by having everybody give you a round of applause. This is Christopher Getman, a.k.a. Maze Dude, an incredibly awesome composer in his own right. And since I've already forgotten your question, why don't you go ahead and answer that again?
Switching from tracking for fun to composing professionally.
Okay, switching from tracking for fun to composing professionally. Wow. I could go on about that one. Let me try to think of a fairly succinct answer. I know we have other people with questions, but tracking, oh yeah, I got it. So tracking was like when I was in the phase of seeing the Amiga for the first time and MED, and I never saw Pro Tracker, but MED was the thing, right, on my friend's Amiga. And that I couldn't get enough of. I had to just start writing music with that. It was so much better than the AdLib Visual Composer. AdLib is great, right? Don't get me wrong. I love AdLib stuff. OPL3 is amazing, even 2 to a degree. People on my Discord channel have told me that there's composers, and they've been very blunt with this. They're like, yeah, Western composers with AdLib sucked. Like and I was like, thanks. But no, as it turns out, there were some scores in Japan that were incredible. So I'm getting off topic though. Yes, so there was lots of passion for tracking. And so I did tons and tons and tons of tracked stuff with various demo groups like Cosmic Free Music Foundation. I think that was about the only one. But this was when Future Crew was still kind of big and demo groups like Orange and everything. So we were all just being creative. And it was a scene, demo scene, right? Like, so that fueled like doing tracking for fun. When I started getting into games, I moved more into DAW. And the first major DAW I used happened to be one of the most expensive, but it was Nuendo. Ion Storm got it for me, and I started learning how to use it. I was seeing the benefits of being able to get more control over the sound in a different way, right? People that are really good with trackers can make them do anything. It's hard to do a really, really meticulous orchestral score with a tracker compared to like an electronic piece or drum and bass or whatever you want to call it. So as I go from there into the current mode that I'm in now, I'd say there's decision paralysis with all the VSTs and all of the tools that you can use, all of the plugins for EQs and all of that stuff. I am coming down off of the have you checked this out and doing what George Sanger did a while ago, which is he had 2 different computers, one of which was upgraded to the latest and greatest stuff called Fast Eddie, and he had another one that he called Pacemaker Ready. And Pacemaker Ready had duct tape wrapped around it, and it said, "Do not upgrade, ever." And I loved that. It's setting your limitations, right? Trackers had their built-in limitations, like you don't know how, or what combination of samples to use, even though you can take a sample from anywhere. But there's still the limitation of like, you only have so much patience with the step time method and all of the commands that you have in the command lines and doing all that stuff. And it limits you in a good way, provided you're still into tracking. And I have Renoise now, but I haven't even opened it up. And I have a Polyend tracker, and I haven't really used it. So. Yeah, these days, if I was to track, I would probably get into Renoise because for some reason OpenMPT it works great, and that's what I used for Bejeweled 3. But Renoise and Furnace Tracker would be the two ones that I would use now. Not so much for pro stuff. I had a question yesterday about what do you think the use of trackers is for professional stuff now, and I said it can be used. They can be used for anything. I wouldn't jump into a tracker again, but. They're partially where I came from, big time. So yeah, good question.
Hi.
Hello.
Great. Okay, now it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny that Deus Ex had a combat theme for Inatku headquarters, where you're not supposed to be fighting. But yeah, how often what do you take in consideration for gameplay when you're composing a track? I mean, like, do you often do upbeat tracks for more actiony parts or that kind of thing? My other question is, J.C. Denton meets Adam Jensen in the bar. How does it go?
Okay. So did everybody hear what the question was? Okay. If you didn't hear sometimes you've got to just like make out with the mic in order to actually have it. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't actually do it yet. Yes, thank you. They're keeping it real. They're keeping me. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Sorry, microphone. Yes. Don't make out with the mic without consent. Yes. But yes, you have to get close to the mic in order for it to hear you. Yes. You have to get close to the mic in order for you. So I'm going to repeat the question. So the first one, what gameplay considerations do I take into account when writing a score in terms of combat or themes or whatever? The second one is Adam Jensen and J.C. Denton, right? Meet in a bar, what happens? Oh boy. So for the first question, it's very open-ended. Depending on the team is going to have its preconceived ideas usually about like what it has in mind for a score, and more these days people put certain amounts of thought into it. So as a composer, sometimes you have to be kind of bold if you have a idea that you're passionate about with getting into a game. And so like for a game that got canceled recently, which is very unfortunate, it was a mobile project, but I said, let's use building blocks. And what does that mean exactly? It is, as the player goes through the game score gets built along with what the player does. That's it, essentially it in a nutshell. It's much more complex, of course, in practice, because when composers were brought on, and I would tell them about the building block system, and I would say, like, yes, they would be themed in different ways, and we would have to influence them like this, and we need to do flow charts and things like that. They would get very confused, and the preference was to just write themes. They were like, can't I just write a theme? I'm like, yes, because that's what we're used to, that's what we've been doing. This is a very new technique, right? And so I'm sharing that with everybody to think, I hate to say outside the box when I say building blocks or whatever, but yes, that's kind of how I approach like a project, is to see like, okay, first of all, do we need music? As a composer, I'm even asking that, right? Like, do we need voice in a game? Very important questions that sound like they might be silly, but they're not. And so, yeah, so starting with those basics, it informs things like, okay, if we're in combat, it would feel good to have a combat theme. Or if there's a situation which requires this particular instrumentation, we would use that, right? So it's all as you go and as you play. So the more, it's another thing that it's easy not to do is to play the game a lot as it's being developed. And it's sometimes hard to find the time to do that, and sometimes it's hard to work that into a budget. But it's very, very important. So that's an answer to your first question. The second question, I think JC would kick Adam Jensen's ass. But they might be buddies, right? You know, because they have similar traumatic pasts, and so, you know, and they're both augmented. But in terms of like actual augmentation, I think since Adam precedes JC, that JC would end up winning. Yeah. So if I wanted to impersonate JC, That actually sounds more like Solid Snake. So you stumped me on that one. Thank you. Who's next?
Me.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Yep. My question was, where do you find samples or free VST plugins for tracking programs, or maybe even a good MIDI composer program? Something I've been looking for a while is, imagine if you had a program where it can emulate all of the audio cards from the 1990s and maybe late 1980s, and then a visual MIDI editor.
The closest thing that I've found to something that, so MIDI-wise, it's challenging. Furnace Tracker has chips out the wazoo. It's got PC-88. It's got OPL3. It's pretty awesome. I haven't even started really using it, but good old Vert, aka Jacob Kaufman, has done some amazing work in Furnace Tracker. I have gotten a lot of questions on Discord about how do I find a general MIDI set that is like from the I'm trying to think of which sound card, because there's lots of general MIDI sound sets that differ, right? You stumped me on that because I don't actually know if there's a freeware program that does MIDI specific stuff with the sample sets or emulation of those sample sets.
Yeah.
If you find one, please let me know.
Over the last few years, I've been looking for various tracker programs, and the search always fails because none of them come with samples, and I can't find free samples.
As far as samples go, do a search for sound fonts. There's a lot of people that have distributed .sf2s that is essentially a sample library, but they are in a specific format that a lot of tracker interfaces, including OpenMPT, can use. So try doing a search for sound fonts. There's also a very important consideration here. I do have a sample share section of my Discord, which is called Funky Rustic Social House. You're welcome to join. At the same time, a caveat on sample share is that I do not make any claim to legally own anything that is distributed there. Everything is distributed at your own risk. That you assume full responsibility. I have this I believe in my policies. Someplace, just for that level of protection, so that if somebody has something that's copyrighted, you never know when somebody's going to come out of the work and say that's mine. And so that's the thing to be careful of with samples. You can also sample stuff yourself with a number. I don't know the free stuff that does that. I think there's a free version of Contact that allows you to sample things yourself.
I'm still using GarageBand.
Hey, GarageBand it's amazing what can be done with so many tools. I do not diss any tool that people use, like Fruity Loops have. I think Jimmy Hinson started with that, or maybe still does use it. I can't remember. Maybe he uses Reaper, but he started with doing Unreal Tournament remixes way back at for what's the name of OCR Remix, and then he's amazing now. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good luck. Thank you. The mic is off. We have to we switch it on. Try it now. Thank you.
No. Oh, it's
on.
Okay.
I can hear you through the speakers.
I wanted to ask about the soundtrack to Tyrion.
Oh my gosh, my first score, Tyrion. Go ahead.
That was your first full soundtrack?
Yes, that was written mostly on Adlib. Visual Composer, converted by Andreas Molnar into what he called the loudness sound system, which made it sound like a Genesis instead of an Adlib. It's absolute magic. It's incredible. But yeah, that was the first full one.
And specifically, I wanted to ask about just how you feel about it, because I know some composers are embarrassed by their first soundtrack. Like C418 is very embarrassed by the Minecraft soundtrack now.
C418.
And
it's valid. His embarrassment is valid. Absolutely. So yeah. No. I mean, I don't. And that's not because I don't like Minecraft per se. I have 3 boys, and they all love Minecraft. They play in different amounts, different capacities, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you want to play?" And I play a little bit, and then I kind of get bored. But part of my experience also does have to do with the nature of the music making me want to fall asleep. right? So, and it's not that that means it's bad. It just means that's what the effect is, right? So, yeah, so I'm not embarrassed by Tyrion's soundtrack. I put a good amount of work into a variety of different styles, one of which is even influenced by like some anime stuff, and I don't even know where it would have come from in anime. Maybe it was Robotech, like old man not remembering things, but yeah, I did a variety of stuff that was influenced from Thunder Force 3 for like 1 or 2 tracks, and some more like sort of thematic, like really chill tracks. And so yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah.
It's great. Thank you for making the soundtrack to the greatest space shooter of all time.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
And,
Yeah.
I have one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you give us, oh my God, JC a bomb
Yeah.
in the JC Denton voice?
Oh, in JC Denton or the pilot?
I mean, either or. It's
Okay,
up to
I'll do
you.
the pilot first. Oh my God, JC, a bomb! And then, oh my God, JC, a bomb. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hello.
I love that I can't hear the peanut gallery. Okay. Yeah, be as loud as you want. Heckle away! Yes, that was consent for some heckling. If that disturbs anybody here and you want to set a boundary, that's fine. But I'm giving license for louder voices on this side of the room. Go ahead.
Okay, as someone who grew up with the Unreal Engine 1 games.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah. Old school.
And thusly your music. I was just wondering, were you given any specific directions for Unreal Tournament? Because it's not like Unreal where you're like, yeah, this is a space adventure, the maps are going to look like this, because in Unreal Tournament, the maps could look like this or something completely different.
Yeah, I'm going to turn you back on.
So were they just telling you, we have these maps, or were they telling us just do anything that slaps harder than a fully charged impact hammer?
That's good, fully charged impact hammer. I dig it. Okay, Unreal Tournament, and what was I given specific direction, influences, etc. For most of the tracks, no. We would see the maps that were in progress, and sometimes we would get inspiration for them. Sometimes we just knew what the nature of the gameplay was. Cliff Bleszinski was telling us that this is deathmatch based, even though there's capture the flag and a whole bunch of other stuff. But Cliff did give us a general feel. He's like, I want it to be fast and intense, and otherwise, you can do whatever. There was one case, and I did mention this yesterday in my real world game audio thing, that Cliff wanted a piece of Unreal Tournament's music to sound like Spy Break by Propellerheads from the Matrix soundtrack when they're in that hotel and Trinity and Neo are shooting up the place, right? So I submitted a piece that was similar. Michiel van den Bos, that was a partner in crime composer for a lot of scores, including Deus Ex and Unreal. He supplied a tune that made Cliff go, "We're gonna get fucking sued." Like, that was his first response. Like, we're going to get fucking sued. Oh, my God, this is exactly like... It's really similar. It's really, really similar. We didn't get sued, but that was direction for 2 of the tracks. Go Down was the one that I wrote, and Bot Pack MCA 10, what a great title, right, is the one... MCA is his artist name that I'm not even sure if he still uses, but those are the tracks for there. Everything else was we were eclectic, like we were for Unreal. Like sometimes we would have sort of guitar influence or orchestral influence. Sometimes it would be synth based, and we just put whatever into the pot seemed to work for that. And like some of the heaviest hitting guitar tracks. One of which was Razorback by Peter Hodgba, a.k.a. Skaven. It's an amazing composer. And another one is by Tero Kosterma, and I don't remember the name of that track. I feel bad for that now. Anyway, yeah, those were just because they wanted to do hard-hitting guitar, chugga-chugga type stuff, and that's how that worked. Yeah.
Just a small one for the... What would you say is your most underrated song from Unreal Tournament?
Underrated song from probably Three Wheels Turning. I really liked the sound I had in that. I thought it had a unique aspect to it, but people seemed to go more towards Go Down or Save Me or definitely the title tracks. So yeah.
Mine would be Underworld 2.
Oh, Underworld 2. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Thank you. Brandon Hale.
Hey, so I wanted to ask you about spatial audio. I was really curious if you work a lot in it, in video games, and like ambisonics, for instance. And I wanted to know if you had any strategies for that, because I kind of work in it right now as like my full-time job.
Okay. Give me a little bit more information on what.
I work at Virginia Tech at ICAT, and we have this theater called The Cube, which has like 140 loudspeakers. And so we bring artists in, and we train them how to use it using Maximus P, your favorite. And,
my favorite.
Right? And we use ambisonics for all that because it's so easy. We can take it to a place, hit a button, and bam,
Gotcha.
Their mixes in 140 channel, right?
That's insane.
So.
Okay, so just in case, the question was about ambisonics and spatial audio, and what do I do with that? I don't have that much experience in it, except for where I was invited by a company, IOSono, to go over to Germany, and Erfurt is where they're located, and they had a technology that used a minimum of, I think, 18 to 20 speakers in a ring. In order to get what they called, I don't remember, it was a proprietary tech that they had a name for that seamlessly blended, and it wasn't just panning. And there's quite a few technologies that don't employ just panning between speakers in order to achieve spatialization, binaural, or ambisonic type effects. I did a little bit of look into ambisonic because I got a Sennheiser ambisonic mic. I let somebody borrow it, and I haven't gotten it back yet. But in terms of gaming, here's the challenge. The challenge is that 99% of gamers use headphones, or that's maybe an exaggeration, but it's most people that play games, if they want to really focus on the sound, they pop on a pair of headphones. And that's why when I talk to people at Dolby, there's Dolby technology for headphones, which is great, right? Like whatever the platform, there should be support. But at the same time, there's been efforts over the years to do like multi-speaker systems, and I took this IOSono technology I introduced them to everybody, like Blizzard people, EA, Microsoft, and they were like, unless our player base already has this, we can't really fund support for it, right? Like that means putting it into the dev cycle and maybe even helping market or whatever it is. So, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that when I walk into a room that has a really awesome setup, like one that you work in, it doesn't change the experience dramatically. It's just in the consumer space. Yeah. Let's
sense.
Yeah, let's not use cords anymore, Apple. Let's not use 3.5-inch discs and make the world go mad. That actually happened, Like they were like, hey, we're not doing 3.5-inch discs, and people were like, what? How could you? So yeah.
We don't need headphone jacks, right?
Yeah, we don't need no stinking headphone jacks.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's cool. It sounds like cool work you're doing. That's awesome. You're welcome. Nice.
This work?
Hey, is that actually on? Can we hear you? Try saying a couple things.
A couple things?
Yep. Yeah, a couple things.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Pardon my voice. I've just recovered from a sickness. I'm not contagious. I was cleared. So please pardon my coughing. I'm okay.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, just so anyone's scared. Anyway, so I don't know how to describe this, but ever since I played Jazz Jackrabbit and Unreal and stuff, the music, the soundtracks, it led me down a pipeline into the goth industrial scene.
Oh my, how awesome is that?
The Three Wheels Turning actually sounds like reminds me of some industrial music.
That's awesome.
Funkervault in particular. But have you ever dipped your toes into like listening into that kind of stuff?
Really good question. How much have I listened to industrial type music or
industrial
goth music? This is a good stumpy question because you got me on this one. So Stabbing Westward has been really mostly the only industrial band that I've done heavy listening into back when they were kind of big in the mid to late 90s. There's certain tracks that stand out to me that influence things like Three Wheels Turning. There is a track there's a single that I have that I've completely forgotten the name of that is one of my favorite tracks that's along those lines. You may not necessarily think that it blends into those other things, but I think it does. So another thing that Cliff told me to do for a game that that turned into Unreal Tournament, actually. No. It was while Unreal Tournament was being made. He was like, we're going to make a vampire game at Epic. It didn't actually happen. And I want you to make something that sounds like the Dark City trailer theme. I loved that theme. If you haven't heard it, check it out. To me, it sounds quite industrial and quite cool because like you've got Dark City, you've got The Crow, and you've got these sort of gritty 90s type stuff going on, and that informed my influence in that style. But I don't as much listen to the commercial like tracks that get released. Even though I do like Wax Trax stuff, like Front 242, I think. Are they industrial?
Yes.
Sweet. Then I like Front 242. So Front 242, I guess, is another band, but I haven't listened to them in a little bit. Andrew Sega, a.k.a. Necros, used one of their drum loops for one of his tracks, and that I was just like, that drum loop is awesome. Wait, Ministry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's a lot of stuff that I listen to for industrial, yes. So Ministry has one track that I can't get enough of because they played it before a Steve Vai concert in Cleveland. So I was just like, who is this? I got to find out, and it was Ministry. So, yeah, I think there's probably more, but that's what I can think of off the top of my head.
It was your music, Jesper Kid. I think I said his name right.
Jesper Kid, yes.
MDK2. He actually collaborated with Raymond Watts for MDK2 soundtrack, and Raymond Watts is part of KMFDM, Pig, Industrial.
Oh my. Okay, I'm sorry. KMFDM. I love them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's also. So there's a lot of connection there.
And Trent Reznor. I don't know if that's
Quake.
specifically.
Yeah, Quake.
Yeah. Well, Quake
Love
and
Quake.
yeah, he did. Oh no, it wasn't. Chris Vrenna collaborated on Doom 3, or did the Doom 3 score. Yeah.
Yeah, Goths love Quake. Cyber Goths like Unreal. That's what I noticed.
That's awesome.
So, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the question. KMFDM doing it again. What's
Hello.
up?
Hey, I'm a huge fan. I'm really glad you're back at MAGFest.
Thanks.
The first time that I attended MAGFest, you delivered from memory a recitation of Star Wars Episode 4.
Yes.
It was one of the most entertaining things I'd ever seen.
Thank you so much.
It was great. The impressions were perfect. You did the music. I don't know how you replicated it with your vocal cords, but it's perfect.
Thanks.
I'm wondering if you had a structured process for doing that, because you also did Episode 5 and Episode 6 after that.
Yeah.
Left us on a cliffhanger. But
Yeah.
if you had a structured process for that, and if you'll ever do it again.
I would love to. There isn't really a structured process, and it's funny that you say that. Like a cliffhanger for Episode 6. Have you seen the Natalie Portman rap by any chance from Lonely Island?
Yeah.
Like where like she's talking to a therapist, and he says like, have you seen the new Star Wars movie? She's like, no, I haven't. He's like, oh, they're great. They're so much better than and she's like, better than what? And he goes, shit. And then she's pointing a gun at him and says, say something about the motherfucking prequels, bitch. It is awesome. Anyway, so yes, I would love to do that again. I don't have a specific thing. It is just things are in my head and they can repeat a lot. Like before this thing started, in my head was, but I was going to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. You can waste time with your friends when your chores are done. Now, come on, get to it. All right, come on. Yeah, it's like this uncontrollable.
So it's not deliberate.
Cinema. No, it's not like I sit down and I go, okay, I'm gonna write this down. And it's fortunate. It's just it makes me think of SpongeBob when Patrick's like, well, you have the talent, but do you have the natural ability? Yeah. So yeah, that's how it is. Like I think somebody's told me that I should do a one-man Star Wars. MAGFest was like, hey, what would you like to bring to the table? And I was like, I could do that. I'm like, great, that's awesome. And it ended up being pretty cool. Yeah. So glad you liked it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, is that on? Yep. Hey, so I'm big into the RTS space. I'm very hyped to hear you're on Stormgate.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious because I know with RTS design, it's a genre where you're going to be hearing that soundtrack for potentially thousands and thousands of hours.
Yeah.
So, and some games I know, like StarCraft, they'll go all out hard on bangers. My poor wife's had to listen to that for a long time, or they'll
Bless
focus.
her. Yeah, yeah.
Or they'll go more ambient. I'm curious what your methodology going into a genre where the soundtrack is very forward and you're going to be hearing it forever.
Okay, that's a very good question. I've been doing a lot of learning because RTS was not a genre that I was. I mean, I played the hell out of it. Played StarCraft 1, 2, Warcraft 1, 2, 3. But I've been fortunate enough to know, like Tracy Bush in particular, a bit of Jason Hayes, and more recently, like Glenn Dahlgren, that did a whole lot. In fact, I think that definitely StarCraft 1, the title theme, and most of the Terran stuff. So what Tracy informed me about specifically, it was that the way that they did the soundtrack was they couldn't, even for StarCraft 2, they couldn't do an interactive system. And you would think that even, for something like 2, like that was quite a production. I mean, it's not Diablo 3, it's not Diablo 4, but yeah, it's still pretty big. And so they said, what we did was we made a 6-minute theme that just was dynamic in terms of its intensity. It would start out, with like okay, I'm here and I've started constructing and I started building and going through my tech tree. Then it goes down a little bit into, okay, I've gotten the excitement out of my system for the tech tree and I've gotten relatively stable. I need to figure out how to start defending my base and exploring the region. Then eventually your first conflict comes and it ramps back up into combat. Now, that was a static track that was developed for all of those games, and some people thought it was interactive. Like there were, according to Tracy, there were some reviews in magazines that said like, yeah, the interactive score is amazing. It responds perfectly to the player's activity, and they're just like, well, that's what you think. So yeah, when I'm coming into this, it's more about instrumentation and, exactly as you said, making sure it's not too obtrusive. There's gonna be the multiplayer tracks that are gonna be for co-op and 1v1. At least that's what we've talked about so far. Thinking heavily on that. Yes, so
Yeah,
that's all good.
those are the ones that are
I'm still
announced.
good. Yes. There's certain things that get revealed at a certain pace, and there's a reason for that. Yes, multiplayer it does have that format, right? So it's an homage to the old days, but it also reflects, like, depending on the number of players and the kind of situations that go on, things do get exponentially more difficult to make interactive in a situation like this. But yes, it has to breathe. Tracks have to breathe, and that means if it's intense, it has to go down for a certain period of time, and if it's really, really low key, it has to go up at least and be a little bit more dynamic like that. So that's how multiplayer works. For narrative, we're thinking of other possibilities.
Okay. And yeah,
I wish I could give you more information than that, but the instrumentation is really key. Each of the races has to have its own unique sound, just like Zerg versus Terran versus Protoss, right? So we're spending an awful lot of time, and we've gotten some really good advice from people all over the industry, not just game composers and the people that have done this for a million years, but Blood Pop is a producer that's worked on like Lady Gaga projects, and he somehow he knows the board at Frost Giant, and so we got a call with him, and he gave us some amazingly good feedback. So a lot of times game composers are like, pop people and movie composers, no, get away from me, you guys are making too much money. No, he was really, really nice, and he was really knowledgeable, and he helped us out. So that's our approach so far.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to know what music and games inspired you to become a composer yourself.
What music and games inspired me? So I would go up to arcade machines with a little portable tape recorder and record the soundtracks. Yes. I am in the right space with the right nerds
Oh yeah.
for that being cool as opposed to,
These are the perfect people for that.
Yes. So I did get some quizzical looks from the people playing the games, but so it was all over the place. It would be Metroid, as you might tell from the tattoo,
That's awesome.
is one of the biggest inspirations that inspired me to do that. I was fortunate enough to interview Hirokazu Tanaka for his original Metroid score. He sent me a letter with some swag from Creatures
That's
Incorporated, which there were people. Somebody mentioned, it's like, I had no idea that he ran the company that owns Pokemon, I mean, that wrote the Metroid music. So so Metroid was one. Ninja Warriors
Nice.
is another really, really influential track, and Strider for the Genesis. And later on, definitely Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is one of the best modern scores that I think has ever been created for pretty much any game. There are so many good scores these days. Like I listened to God of War, love Bear McCreary, got to meet him. He's a super nice guy. At the same time, there's a lot of amalgamation and similarity in these scores where you can kind of know what you're getting. Like I watch a lot of games that my kids play, and like Spider-Man 2 is one of those games. And like I said, God of War, the more recent one, Ragnarok, right?
I've been watching my brother play that one a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, like they've got like these really like well-produced scores, but yeah, and there's been a YouTube video about this. Like, why aren't they as memorable as an NES theme, right? Like, there's specific reasons for that, like in terms of just your brain's input and like only getting a few notes at a time compared to all the detail of a full orchestra or whatever. But yeah, it's more. I do have more influence from old school for those reasons than now, and that is it's one of the reasons why I'm trying to talk to fellow composers about like, what can we do that doesn't go back necessarily, but at least has that same kind of uniqueness to it, because that's what we're charged with. Like, it's not just to go to Abbey Road Studios and record whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And like she said, it sounds very industrial. Your music, it's like seems like it is.
I mean, jazz has some jazzy sonic type stuff, and then Unreal has some industrial stuff, and I never know where like influence is going to come from. Sometimes it is quite out in left field. So, but as far as games go, I'd say those are the biggest influences.
I also wanted to say your performance on Thursday night was awesome.
Thank you.
Your voice is great.
Really appreciate it.
But that's it for me. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice shirt.
Yep. I was actually gonna ask you to sign my Nolly Castle, but I forgot to bring a Sharpie because I'm a poor player.
I think somebody in here has one.
We got one right here. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do a signing here. Hold on.
It's a little rough. Oh, my friend did. Its print's a little screwed up. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Chelsea. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for all the help, everybody. Okay, so where would you want it? On the back?
Yeah, do this side.
On this side. Okay. And what's your name?
Jesse.
Yeah, UT shirt. Is that like one like an original one?
It's one of the ones Epic did when they were doing the UT4 stuff. And my friend and I actually got matching shirts, and we're gonna show up this year.
Awesome.
Ooh, nice.
There you go.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, the cap was still on. Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Also,
yes.
I had one more question.
Question. Go for it.
So I've always been like a visual artist, like doing like digital art, 3D modeling, environmental stuff.
Cool.
I've made a bunch of Unreal maps and stuff. But one area I'm lacking in is like I have no expertise with like composing and like audio work and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, do you have like a recommendation of like getting started with stuff like that, or that might be too open-ended?
No. It's not. I mean, it's not too open-ended. Like how do I start it? It's an absolutely important question. It's super, and it can seem overwhelming. So I do usually have. In fact, I should post this as a pin post somewhere in Discord or something like that. And there's colleagues of mine that have pages of like, okay, here's where you go, here's what you do. Familiarize yourself with some tools. Find the inspiration is actually the very first thing. It's just like, what is it that is going to fuel and passionize?
I'm not lacking in that.
What's that?
I'm not lacking the inspiration department because I have.
Oh,
like,
that's great. So
Unreal,
so
a
use
bunch of
that
other
and write
influence.
the songs that you like. That's what I did. I mean, all the jazz stuff was stuff that I enjoyed writing. All the Unreal stuff is. There's very little that I haven't been that big a fan of. A few mobile projects lately that have had to sound as generic as all hell. I wasn't the biggest fan of writing, but I did the song and they liked it, and it was.
If I remember
cool.
correctly, Dirt was one of the ones you didn't like doing for Unreal.
Wait, which one?
Dirt was it called?
Dirt.
UPack for Unreal.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. God, fans remember so much more than I do. Yeah. There's some. Well, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it came out the way I wanted. Yeah. So I wasn't super happy with like the result. But like going into it, I think there was passion for it. So start with that. Grab Reaper as a digital audio workstation. There are a million sources of information plus a million places to find free plugins, whether it's instrument synthesizers or whatever, and just go nuts and start writing in terms of, because composing is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So start with that because, but at the same time, look at what you're doing and be like, okay, there's so much that I'm writing that sounds like so much other stuff. Don't make yourself different just for the sake of being different, but like think about like, okay, is there something that inspires me that also adds to the unique character of what it is that I'm writing? If you can find both of those things, it'll help market you a little bit better, so that people will say, yeah, this person has this more unique style that I can't just get someplace else or whatever it is. And that's tough to navigate. Sometimes you just stick to whatever it is that you enjoy, and you keep pushing that, and that can make its way through as well. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing? Is it on?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
There
cool.
you go. So I have 2 questions for you. I'm going to ask the hardest one first.
Okay.
How many knuckles?
Oh, 4. No. Yes. Yes. 3?
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the second question, what's your favorite gaming position?
What's my favorite gaming position? All right. So there was a gamer chair that got posted lately that said something about like, yeah, this is a gamer chair for the best in relaxation, and the text underneath of it said, yeah, I'm sure that's what it's for. It looks like it would be a great gamer chair. Gaming position. It can be kind of boring. I think it's sitting down, but yeah. But in terms of position in a company, yeah, audio director. That's the boring answer. But in terms of yeah, sitting down probably is good. I will tell you something. There was a moment that I had playing Super Metroid where I learned that creatures were teaching you how to do special moves if people have played Super Metroid and experienced all of that. I yelled in a manner that only happened with certain other activities, and so it was that kind of awesome moment, right? So I was sitting down when that happened. Yes. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Sweet.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for the challenge. I look forward to more challenge.
A bit of an offshoot of that kind of. In your personal life, how have you gotten to use your audio skills and your, I guess, voices?
In my personal life, how have I gotten to use my audio skills and voices? Yes, that's actually a good question. So in college, the first time that I ever discovered, boy, this is kind of, let's see, we got 12 minutes left. I want people, yes, we got to get to y'all. So as a kid, playing video games was completely separate from, oh, wow, my parents got a Victoria's Secret catalog. What do I do now? I don't know what these feelings are or what I'm supposed to do with them or how to express them, right? I mean, really, like we discover different things at different points, and we go, and everybody has their, these discoveries, or I don't want to say everybody, don't want to generalize, but many. And so, like, when I got to high school, I had learned Journey's Don't Stop Believin' on piano, and so I just sat down and started playing it for fun. And it was a choir with a bunch of different schools. And so this girl came and sat next to me and was like, oh my God, you know this song? And so she's like, her eyes are just, really wide. And this other guy that was from her same school came and sat next to me on the other side and whispered, was like, oh man, this is great, yeah. It's all set. And most of this, I didn't even know how to process at that point. I was just sort of going like, oh, well, wow. Being able to play Don't Stop Believin' is cool. The impersonations, I can't say have specifically, generated reactions other than excitement and amazement and, yeah, well, hey, I'm I am totally doing what's called like a leading answer into future questions. Yeah, I say excitement. So that doesn't necessarily mean invitations. So, but the music, yes, the music in college. After high school, when I would do some improv of music, I've got 10 minutes. I've got for some improv. An ex-girlfriend did like sit down next to me and then just say like, yeah, let's chat. And eventually we went back to my room and had fun. So yes, music does have power in certain ways. I wasn't playing just with the notion of just like, okay, let's see if I can activate magnet X or whatever, right? It was because I enjoyed the music. So that music is a language, right? So in some cases it's a language of love or attraction. Or sometimes it's a language of expression of sadness, fear, pain, all kinds of different things. So yeah, that's helped me there. The voices, it's usually like, wow, that's such a great impersonation. It's really cool. Yeah. So far. So, yes.
So you talked about Jazz Jackrabbit 1 and 2, but I was introduced via the Christmas edition. So were you involved in the Christmas edition of Jazz Jackrabbit?
Yes, I was. So...
You have it? You happen to have it?
Oh yeah, we've got Chelsea here has a copy that I signed earlier today of the Christmas edition of Jazz Jackrabbit. Yes. So of 2, yes. Of 1, it was Robert Allen, and for 2, I did a little bit of like some themes like Deck the Halls and what is it, Sleigh Ride, and I was able to put those into a jazzy type theme. So
no, it was
yeah.
amazing. I was like, me and my friend put it on. I was like, holy shit! You know, we just downloaded it. It was great. So
Glad you liked it.
Yeah, it was outstanding, dude.
Yes.
So
cool.
I also know Robert Swackhammer, so I'm friends with him.
Awesome. Swack.
So, yeah. Can I get a selfie with you?
Of course. Of course. You want to do that right now? Yes. Or do you want to do that after? Okay, real quick. Because I want to give some time.
I promise you don't.
We have 2 additional questions. You really don't.
You saved the best for last.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, before we get to y'all, one of the going back to the previous question, one of the biggest influences on current music exploration happens to be my girlfriend Ariel, who's sitting in the front row right here. So, thank you, love, for introducing me to certain songs. One of which is the Riddle by. It's. Yeah, Gigi D'Agostino, but it's based on a theme of an 80s theme by Nick something. There's a hole, da 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 da. Does anybody know that theme? Oh, yeah. So we got to, yeah, so there's been new frontiers and horizons that have been so much fun lately. So, yeah, oh, yeah. Come on up. Don't be shy.
How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. Say, Alex, can we get an autograph?
That's a big time 4. Alrighty.
We got consent from all involved.
Yes, consent has been given.
No, you got it. We forgot the
My
other
hand is
request.
shaking.
That in exchange for an autograph. Can you?
Okay.
Joker has to play the
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. Gosh, it's like this is all me that's getting the good part of the deal. That was fucking awesome. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay. I have a request in these last 6 minutes, and actually, well, there might be room for one more after that because I don't know. I might just fold. But yes, oh my God. So yes, for the good people of the panel, in our careful and hard and dedicated work towards what is actually a very serious subject, we can have fun sometimes. And some of that fun involves like just randomly like doing impersonations. So one of my favorite characters from the animated Batman series is, see if you can guess who this is, because I have to make something up on the way.
How's everybody doing out there? Can you tell who this might be? Not quite the Penguin, but it is a villain, of course. No, not Mr. Freeze. Who has watched the series?
Oh,
You're all having me on now, aren't you? Evil Luke Skywalker is the closest you've gotten so far. It's evil. Oh, it's Grogu. That's right. Yes. So we have 5 minutes left, and you've got your impersonation. How does that sound?
yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Y'all got me. Yeah.
Yes, they know me well. No more questions whatsoever for the Joker. We've got one person coming up, 2 people coming up. We've got 5 minutes left.
You played 2 of the worst people in Skyrim. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I kill you twice every time.
Yes! And neither of them took an arrow to the knee.
Well, sometimes.
Right. True. Thank you for killing me. That's Encano and Ahmad Mochier from Skyrim, and yes, those were good characters. Yes, Encano was inspired by, or was specifically inspired by, who's the silver-haired dad of the Slytherin? Yes, Lucius Malfoy. So I had to sound very, very uppity as an evil elf. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, cool. Come on up.
So, speaking of Star Wars, are you familiar with Backstroke of the West?
No, Backstroke of the West?
Oh, yes, okay.
It almost sounds a bit rude, doesn't it?
Yes, so someone took the entire script of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Google translated it into Chinese, and then retranslated that back into English, and then some people actually took it and voice acted it out. And
Is it on
it's
YouTube?
Amazing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Backstroke of the West. Everybody check this out.
Yes. So I was going to give you the challenge of performing that at a future
Oh,
MAGFest,
okay.
potentially.
All right. Backstroke of the West. Thank you very much. What's your name?
Scott.
Scott. Okay. Challenge accepted. If they will allow it here, I will. That's a challenge. That's a good one. Cool. Oh my gosh. Well, yes, there was. I'm sorry. There was a Doom. We got 3 minutes, so give me a sec. There was a Doom help guide that was improperly or just wrongly translated from Spanish, and it was giving directions like a walkthrough. And so some of those directions would go like this: go straight, then loose us a trap, then left, right, rectum. Seriously, like I was cracking up with my friend with this translation. So, what's up, Liz?
Hi.
I'm sorry. I just blurted your name out.
That's fine.
Okay.
So you are the voice of an alcohol store, or like alcohol in Austin.
Yes, I do voices for Specs, which is a chain of spirit. Yes, alcohol places.
Very remote knowledge that I have. So I turn on the radio and I'm like, oh, hello. So I challenge you to, like, if you could sell anything that you wanted and would make any voice for it that you could, what would the product be and what voice would you make?
Okay. So if I that is so challenging, but like if I was to sell any product I wanted,
real or imagined?
I think I'm going to use my Specs voice, but it's not like I would have immediately gone to that. But the Specs voice is supposed to sound a little bit like that guy from Old Spice commercials. Hello, ladies. How are you? Fantastic. Right? So he sort of sounds like this. And so therefore, what I would do is I would say, now, for an unbelievably low price of $99.95, you can have your very own box of self-confidence. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once you take this self-confidence, you will be able to... Has anybody here seen the Smile video, Smile for Women, SMYLE? Check it out on YouTube. It is amazing. Somebody says, hey girl, smile. And she goes, good idea, sir. Pours pills into her mouth and then goes... So yes, it is. Anyway, so yes, self-confidence for $99.95. Absolutely. That's the voice I would use. Cool. Are we just about at time? Where's the person that needs to tell me that I need to stop? Oh, yes. He's checking his phone. Wrap it up. I got to tell the wrap it up guy to tell me to wrap it up. That's what we call meta at MAG. So yes, I think I will wrap it up. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for making it fun. And thank you for asking the challenging questions. Everybody have a great rest of your MAG.